holy and complete innocence of God. Creation, expression of all love. In this moment, finding the willingness within to accept and to embrace the perfection that is waiting for you to be discovered. Patiently waiting. The truth of your being has not left, gone somewhere, disappeared, been damaged, been changed, altered. Not in any way. For all eternity, the truth of love, the truth of being is. As you allow from the heart to accept, not something that you know, not something that can be understood, but something that can be accepted, invited, and rejoiced in. And the rejoicing is in the promise. The rejoicing is in the thank God. Thank God humanity has been mistaken. Thank God. Only love is real. Only love is true. Thank God. The dream of separation can fall away in an instant, in a total, holy instant of yes. So allow in this moment to find the depth of willingness that is within, the choice. For a little while choosing between what you have made in the belief of separation and choosing peace and harmony and eternal life. And beyond what can even be fathomed, accepting worth. In this moment, finding the willingness of the heart to surrender all beliefs of this day that said, there might be a problem here, I have something to do, I have something to control or something to figure out, something to know. But accepting in the willingness, just accepting that under the false identity is a day of perfection, of harmony, of joy, of ease and freedom. Every moment, all light, all love, all perfection. And in this moment, the willingness that whoever you spent this day with in form, whatever beloved was brought into your awareness, that you in this moment bless and accept the holiness of each beloved. The willingness to step beyond a perception of separation, and the willingness to step beyond a perception of seeing a body and an identity, and holding that identity as somehow true because you believe you know it. You believe in your perceptions, but now willing to question those perceptions and to embrace the promise that there is only one divine beloved, the wholeness of God, the Christ, the beauty, the innocent. And as you accept humanity in its innocence, the willingness to accept the innocence within, and let those separate identities fall away just for a moment. And breathing and accepting. Breathing deeply and fully in this moment. The willingness to be present here, right now, the only moment that exists. And finding the willingness as you breathe to surrender the past and the future into the hands of God, into love. Truly willing to put the future into the hands of God. All of the seeming journey surrendered to be used by love, to be used for healing, for remembering, and breathing. Breathing deeply and fully into every cell, breathing fully and deeply. Inviting everything that has been known as the body to be opened into awareness of love through the breath. Breathing into the throat, inviting the throat to open, surrendering the throat into the hands of God, willing to receive. Surrendering the neck, shoulders, arms and hands, all surrendered into love, into God. And taking all attention into love, focusing on the truth of God, the truth of love, wholeness and holiness. And breathing into the spine, surrendering the spine into the hands of God to be used as the liquid of love to express love. Breathing into the heart, inviting the heart to come forward, open, undefended, available. Letting the heart lead the way instead of the mind. Letting the mind recede and the heart come forward. And breathing into the belly, surrendering all the organs into the hands of God, willing to be transformed and used to express love. Breathing into the hips and thighs, knees, calves, ankles, and feet, all surrendered into love. Breathing. And breathing deeply, inviting all the chakras to open, available to love, for love. Breathing. Now surrendering the emotional body into the hands of God. No longer willing to have the emotional body run by the mind and by fear, by perception. Willing for the emotional body to express harmony and joy, and compassion, love. And breathing and surrendering all the senses into the hands of God, willing to see with the eyes of love, willing to hear only love, willing to taste only love. Everything surrendered, willing to feel through the skin, through the body, only love, offering only love. Willing to speak only love. Everything surrendered. Breathing. And as you breathe, affirming that here in this infinite circle of love we are one. Infinitely one. Forever. Eternally one. As you breathe, allowing the edges of the body identity to soften and to start to fall open as you connect into the holy union of love. In service of love, offering love. There is only one presence here, it is the life force of God. Within this life force we live and move and breathe as one. One heart, one breath, all of love. This sanctuary is filled with love. This universe is all of love. Nothing else exists. The willingness to accept the truth of love, the truth of harmony and peace, tranquility and joy, love. breathing, focused on love. Allow this prayer to enter into your heart and take you into remembering love. The miracle of love is always right here, always available in every moment. And the revelation of oneness is available every moment, opening to the awareness, the beauty, the perfection of love. This is a prayer that focuses on the Divine Mother, a communion, the divine relationship of love, the holy relationship, until the heart recognizes there's only one and melts into every divine being. Through this prayer, guidance is asked for and wanted. And in the remembering, even guidance is no longer present because everything is just union, communion, oneness. But for now, the willingness to be guided, the willingness to follow. In this aspect, the Divine Mother is known as the Queen of the Forest, Queen of the Earth, Queen of the Heart. The willingness to melt into this love. A rainha da floresta, I will follow where you lead. I am going where you lead me, I will go. A rainha da floresta, I will follow where you lead. I am going where you lead. A rainha da floresta, I am going where you lead. I will follow, where you lead me I will go. I am going to my mother to be healed. She takes me in her arms, and to her I must go. Rainha da floresta, I am going where you lead. I am going where you lead me, I will go. Rainha da floresta, I love you so. I will go on with my mother, where she leads me I must go. I am going to my father to be healed. I am going in the truth and to be real. I am going to my father, and it's true. Oh, my mother, lead me home, it's all up to you. I am going to be healed in the heart of love. I am going into love. A rainha da floresta is calling us home. Come my sisters, come my brothers, come with me, let's go. As we say yes, as you say yes to the divine following, to the divine of coming home, and recognizing that you invite all of humanity to join you through your willingness to see humanity as the divine, to no longer hold humanity in separation. The ease of following, the ease of being led. Allowing. I must love in the heart. The Blessed Mother is the one who calls me to love with all of my heart. Oh, my Blessed Mother, Divine Mother, you hold us in the truth of forgiveness. We are here to remember to love and to be loved. We are here to say yes to forgiveness so that we might remember to love completely with all of the heart. No exceptions, no caveats, no yes but. Just loving. Just yes, I must love. I am here to remember love. Eu devo amar no coração. A Virgem Mãe foi quem me deu para eu amar ao Senhor Deus. Oh Virgem Mãe, Divina Mãe, vós nos perdoe os filhos seus para nos amar ao Senhor Deus. Divino Pai, Rei Criador, vos nos perdoe nos pecadores para nos amar grande amor. I must love every moment of every day. The exquisite yes of remembering love, of letting everything go and just loving, just offering love, just accepting love, just basking in love, just remembering love. Acceptance. Forgiveness. Letting love come through forgiveness. Forgiving the false identity of the belief of separation in all the ways that it demonstrates itself within the world. The willingness to accept love as all that is, embracing. As Hafiz offers, the extraordinary influence you can yield. At some point, one's prayers will become so powerful that they can shake a full tree in an orchard in heaven, and fruit will roll through the streets in this world. But dear, until you can do that, maybe apprentice yourself to someone who can, and they will help your destiny achieve the height of the extraordinary influence you can yield. The call to prayer, to allow the prayers to be the power of your day, to allow the prayers of your heart to color everything that you see and everything that you taste and everything that you engage with in every day, letting the prayer of love, letting your prayers of communion, your prayers of what you truly want, and the truth of love to be in front, to lead the way, and to open your heart in every moment. To just allow prayer to be always in your heart. So I felt called to one more offering from Hafiz, one that looks so tiny. Spare the world your good ideas. Spare the world your ideas of good until you know all is good. My teacher once said to me, spare the world your ideas of right until you know that all is holy. This is also a call to prayer. The call to recognize I don't know, and I will spare the world my knowing until I recognize the truth of love. The willingness spare the world your ideas of right, and recognize that you would rather be happy than right about everything. The ego is not happy without wanting to be right. So it takes great trust to relinquish what you know and to accept a new way and to be led and to follow. And yet, it is such a happy journey when you're being led. When you recognize in being led that you are so loved, that all the divine beings are so wanting to serve you and help you find your way. And that these divine beings, seen and unseen, all of us, are whispering, come this way. Come this way. Let that go. Rest here. Allow. Trust. It all becomes very simple when you are able to trust beyond your own knowing. There's a beautiful teaching that says, you cannot be totally committed sometimes. The ego would like to convince you that it is possible, that you can be totally committed sometimes. That's a nice strategy that gives permission for your own way, your own ideas, your own knowing. It's kind of like the Sunday go-to meeting, spiritual life. When I go to church on Sundays, I will surrender and I will live the spiritual life. But the rest of the time, not so much. But the true calling, when the heart is stirred and really wants to remember and wants to let go of this ridiculous belief of separation, this ridiculous belief of temporariness, this ridiculous belief of pain and suffering, to that calling to remember, you have to be totally committed all the time. But it's really recognizing that you cannot be totally committed sometimes. In the use of time, it is to really want to be led all the time, to really want to be in prayer all the time, to really want and be committed to your happiness, the joy that you are, the light of God that you are, the light of God that the world really is, that is not known in the belief of separation. To really keep coming back to the awareness that not to play a game with yourself of strategies of, yes, while I'm praying I'll be committed, and then when I'm in knowing I won't be. But really wanting and keep coming back to that deep commitment all the time. Wanting to rest in God. To rest and to be led all the time. So another divine teaching that is right with this awareness is the divine teaching that says, when a moment, when a situation has been totally dedicated to the truth, peace is inevitable. Wholly dedicated to the truth. Every situation that you're walking in, all day long, you have the choice to dedicate the situation completely to the truth. The truth that there is only wholeness, that there is only love, that there is only peace, that there is only perfection in every moment. And that if you're not aware of the wholeness in the moment, that you want to be aware of the wholeness in the moment. The habit of the mind and all of its knowing has been all that you have known in the world. You have made a world that your mind completely runs. And everything that you see in this world is a product of your perception of separation. So how can you ever step out of that perception? It is so simple. It is to remove from every situation your perception of it. And to recognize that there is another way. There is the way of the heart. There is the way of love. To want to see. You want to see in peace. You want to see in love. You want to rest in that love. When a situation has been dedicated wholly to the truth, peace is inevitable. It doesn't say peace is possible. It doesn't even say peace is probable. It says peace is inevitable because the situation is wholly dedicated to the truth of oneness, to the truth of love, the truth that there is no conflict, that there is nothing to get, that there is nothing to prove, that there is nothing to win. But you have to be willing to see when you are believing in winning and proving, or else it just keeps running. To question what everything means to you is essential in healing. When you believe that there is something happening, what meaning have you given it? What meaning is running? What meaning is filling the space? What meaning is affirming that you know something? The truth of love can pierce through any perception, but you have to be willing to let it be pierced, which means giving up your knowing. You're willing in that moment to step back and follow. You're willing in that moment to be shown a new way. So when Beloved says, spare the world your ideas of good until you know all is good, spare the world your ideas of right until you know that all is holy. How can it be possible in a world that looks so separate and looks like a problem that everything is actually just the holiness of God? How is that possible? It boggles the mind because the mind is in conflict with the truth. The mind says, I know everything is a problem. And if it isn't a problem in my consciousness, it is because I think that I have some control over something. But it is guaranteed that eventually it will be a problem because you will find you don't have any control over it. Because in the world of the belief of separation, everything is constantly changing. There is nothing you can grab onto and secure and make it stay the way you want it to stay. And this is what engenders so much anger. I want it thus. I had a concept of how I wanted it to be, and the world is not cooperating. But the funniest part of that anger, that frustration, that irritation, is that the world that you see is coming from your own mind. So all the while that you're irritated at the world outside, it is really the self-irritation because it's what you believe in. It's all your beliefs being reflected back. If you believe in a world that is painful, that is the world that you will see. If you believe in a world that needs to be suspect, that is the world that you will see. If you want to see a world of love, of harmony, of peace, then you have to accept that harmony and peace is what you truly want, and that you will not settle for anything else. That you will not trust or believe anymore in a false impression of the world or of yourself, because it's the same thing. When you see yourself and you see the world, you are seeing the same thing. There's no difference. The world is just your mirror to what you believe about yourself. If you see a world that you believe has things in it that you need to get in order to be happy or satisfied or the winner, it is because you see within you an emptiness. It's because you see within you lack, that you believe that you are lacking the wholeness of God, and you see it outside. When you see and embrace and melt into the wholeness of being and meet the friend within, meet that love that is the truth of who you are, the whole world is now one. The whole world is beauty. And you're no longer at the effect of what seems to be the temporary. You see past the temporary and you see the wholeness. You see the beauty, the perfection, the innocence, the beingness of love. Spare the world your ideas of right until you recognize that all is holy. Every beloved spends a huge amount of time on the discerning right and wrong, and likes and dislikes. It's the same thing. Likes and dislikes is right and wrong. You believe that your likes are right and your dislikes are wrong. That everything that you don't like is something that's wrong in the world because you have deemed it to be so. Not recognizing that those assessments and those condemnations and those approvals make a world that is extremely fearful, because you can't control your rights and wrongs. And you try to make a little world for yourself where you protect your rights, you're being right about what you like, what you agree with, and the rest has to be your enemy. As if it's something wrong, something bad. Who has deemed anything to be bad and wrong? Either another beloved, or a situation, or an object. You would deny half of your acceptance of the world. You would deny your world, to split it into sections and say, this I like and this I don't like, and believe in limitation. And it's all pain and suffering. That's where all the pain and the suffering comes from. And these likes and dislikes are held as grievances. They're held as proof of your limitation. And it's a lie, because there's no limitation. So why not just let them all go? Why keep promoting them out of habit, out of fear, when in actuality they are the cause of fear? Who wouldn't be scared, believing that you have to control your world and make sure that you have your likes and dislikes in place? And this is not just likes and dislikes of taste and style, and this is likes and dislikes of the body. This is likes and dislikes of personalities. This is likes and dislikes of others' behaviors and your own behaviors. This is condemnation. This is approval or disapproval, but it all ends up as condemnation. And this is the cause of all pain, and it's the belief of suffering. When there is nothing but peace available, it is as sure that those that hold grievances will suffer guilt. It is sure, as it is certain that those who forgive will find peace. Forgiveness is held by the world as something that you do out of being noble. I will forgive your terrible choices. I will forgive what you did to me, but I'm not going to let go of the identity of that. There's no forgiveness there. To forgive is to make whole. To forgive is to let go of what you think anything means, and the mistaken identity that you have given to whatever it is that you have given it to. And so you are forgiving your entire identity and forgiving your entire perception of the world. That eventually is all that is forgiven, is your perception of the world. And the belief that there is danger and attack and temporariness and different roles that beloveds have taken, and the belief that those roles changed and altered the truth of who you are. Let's say somebody stole from you in the past. And you hold that in a neat little pocket. And every once in a while you bring it out to play with it, so that you can affirm the injustices of the world. And it affirms that you have the right to be suspicious, and that you have the right to be scared, and you have the right to be upset, and you have the right to be not trusting. You believe someone stole from you. What is it that you think that anyone could possibly steal from you? If you are the divine truth of God, the wholeness of life, and you are one with everything, what is it that you thought you had ownership of that could be taken and alter the truth of who you are? It is not possible to have anything stolen from you. Is the beloved who steals, who believes in stealing, is that beloved in pain? Absolutely. Is that beloved in the same belief of scarcity that you are in? Absolutely. Are you joined in the belief of pain and suffering and the belief of scarcity? Absolutely. But the sanity of the truth of wholeness is calling you to recognize you cannot have anything stolen. Maybe you think it's your reputation that's been stolen. Maybe someone has said something about you that you believe your reputation is tarnished. What reputation would that be? What reputation of wholeness could be tarnished? What ego identity of limitation and of pain and suffering can tarnish the truth of oneness? Wholeness is whole. Love is eternal. Nothing can be tarnished. Nothing can be changed. Nothing can be taken from you. If you believe something can be taken from you, your childhood, maybe you believe that was taken from you. This was your identity within the world of separation. You came into this incarnation in the belief of separation. You would not have incarnated into a body except that you identified yourself as separate already. You have walked in past lives already believing that you were separate and without. And you, in this lifetime, have agreements with certain beloveds that came in to play roles with you that said, we are all in the belief of separation and in the belief of pain and suffering. And we will play that out together. And we will all identify as victims. We will all be in pain and suffering until there is a call to sanity, a call to wholeness that is willing to see past the identification of roles, of limitation, of separation, and welcome back into oneness all those beloveds that you thought were separate from you, and all those beloveds that you believed stole something from you, took something from you, altered something of the truth of who you are. Every beloved is being called to love, to accept the wholeness and the beauty and the perfection of every beloved. No exceptions. You cannot be totally committed sometimes. So you cannot be totally committed to the truth of wholeness sometimes, or with certain beloveds, and you hold them separate. No, not these. These I hold as different relationships. These are not part of the wholeness. These are not the divine. These are what I made of them. And I will be devoted, committed, except for this. And that is exactly where the healing is. Has every beloved walked in this same belief that certain situations, certain beloveds need to be held separately? Yes, of course. That's the strategy. But we can't go home without them. We can't. We are one with every beloved. And without them, our wholeness is not in our awareness. It's not possible. To surrender the belief that anything has been stolen from you in any way is the road to freedom. It's the road to love, because you are embracing, you are finding the willingness to embrace these beloveds that you have held as your enemies. You may not call them your enemies. Maybe you have better names for them. But it's important to see that underneath the names that you have given them, they have been your enemies. They have been your enemies because you believed that they were the cause of your pain and suffering, and that they stole something from you. You cannot be wholly devoted, committed to the truth sometimes, because those sometimes there's going to be beloveds that you're holding separately and you want to keep them separate. Why do you want to keep them separate? Because you are afraid of them. You are afraid of the power that you have given them. You are not seeing them through love. You are seeing them through the belief that they are your enemies, that they are intrinsically evil. And you have spent your lifetimes affirming this. In every lifetime you've had enemies. Everyone has had enemies in every lifetime. The funniest thing about all the enemies is that we've walked the same journey over and over and over again, changing places and changing roles with the same beloveds. Have you ever had that awareness when you meet someone that you've known them? Yeah. That this is beyond comprehension, that you're so familiar with them, and somewhere in you, you recognize, I've been with you before. I have been with you. We've walked together before. And in that awareness is to recognize that all the beloveds that you have lived this lifetime with, you have walked with before. You've changed roles. The beloved who came as your father may have been the child and you were the parent, or you were the uncle, or you were the cousin. It doesn't matter what the roles were. And there is not one role that has been taken on that the reverse of the belief of pain and suffering that you caused this to me was not held by each other. Every single one. Because everything that we projected at any time in time onto anyone else is what we have believed about ourselves. And we are wanting them to be wrong or the cause so that we feel better, so that we feel more justified, and so that we are not in touch with the fear that this self-hatred that is buried inside has legitimacy. We have to have an enemy to feel better about ourselves. That's how the world works. That's how the world works in every single way. If you look at the enemies in the world, you have your personal enemies, and then you have the world enemies. Maybe it's another political party. Maybe it's another country. Maybe it's a system of greed and annihilation of something or someone. Then you can hold them as your enemy, and you feel better about having that enemy, because you can find the reason for your discomfort in them. And you can avoid having to open the doorway to seeing the fear and the self-hatred that is within. The self-hatred isn't justified. The self-hatred isn't true. The self-hatred has no relevancy, no truth, no legitimacy. But as long as you hide from it through condemnation of others and the belief that others have stolen something from you, have changed something, have done something, you can avoid shining the light on the self-hatred within. You can project that hatred and feel better. But you never feel joy. You never feel at peace. You never are rejoicing in the oneness, because you're hiding and you're afraid of this pain that's within, this uneasiness. Why is it so hard to meditate? Why is it so hard to be still? Why does the mind chatter all the time? Why is the need to know so enticing? Because it's an occupation. It keeps you busy and keeps you away from meeting what's in here. It's the occupation that fills the space. Why is it so often that beloveds will talk about early in the morning, just when you wake up and you have that sense of fear, you have that impending doom that comes up? So you do something to move away from it. The impending doom that you're feeling early in the morning is because everything's quiet and you're not filled with your mind chatter yet. And so you touch that place of fear and of self-hatred that you, in your occupied time of day, you stay away from. You can't rest here because you're so afraid that your mind and your beliefs are right. Deep, deep down. Deep down. So when you begin to trust enough to relinquish your perceptions of the outside world, you don't have your enemy in place as well. The fight is not as adamant. You can't hold on to the enemy outside as well, because you're being called to see the beloved. But you're also being called to see the beloved within. You're being called to let the self-hatred come into the light. To not be afraid of it, not protect it, not build facades that are a false identity to stay away from the fear that's underneath. And as the costume, through your prayer, through your yes, as the costume begins to thin out, means that your identity is thinning out, and you're getting closer and closer to facing the dragon, to face the belief that you are not worthy of love. Is there an original sin? Yes, but not the way the world holds it. The original sin is the mistake that you believe that you separated from God, that you believe that you abandoned God. And you can't stand that guilt or that shame because of that belief, so you make it about that God abandoned you. And your life, your journey, what has looked like your life in time, is all about abandonment. It's all about how you have been betrayed and abandoned, rejected, abandoned, because you're so afraid of the belief that's lying underneath, that's all enmeshed in that self-hatred that says, I abandoned God, and I should be punished. And there is no punishment in God. All the punishment is coming from self-inflicted pain and suffering. Every thought that you have that says, I am separate, I am without, I am less, or anyone else is, all the belief in time, all the belief in levels, all the belief in degrees, all of it, it's all a ruse. It's all a fabrication that says, this is my proof that I have abandoned and been abandoned by God. Love cannot leave its source. It's not possible. So the whole concept of a separate identity is completely false. Love cannot leave its source, and love has no degrees and levels. And love is not in time. Love is eternal. But until you're willing to recognize and to accept that nothing has been stolen from you, ever. Time has not been stolen because time doesn't really exist. Objects have not been stolen because you can't own anything anyways. Everything is already here. There's nothing to grab and hold on to. You have never been changed, so no one has stolen your identity or changed the truth of who you are. No one has done anything to anyone. Is there an agreement of pain and suffering? Yes. And everyone holds it. There is no one that has walked this earth that has not held that belief of pain and suffering, except for a few masters that came already awakened to serve humanity. Everyone else incarnated because they believed that they were separate. And everyone holds the belief that grievances are righteous, that you have proof. We've all had proof. That proof is erroneous. The ego finds this to be blasphemous. This is blasphemy. This is like saying you're a heretic. What? My proof isn't true? My grievances are righteous. If your grievances are righteous, you are not the child of God. These are the choices. Your grievances are righteous, or you are whole and complete in the love of God. Everyone eventually will make a new choice. Everyone. All of humanity will remember and wake up to the awareness of oneness. And heaven will be recognized as here. But you cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve your grievances, your belief that something has been stolen from you, that someone could hurt you, that someone could take something from you, that someone could change you, and that you know who they are, and that you're not going to let go of those identities because they mean too much to you, because they keep you from the self-hatred that you're so afraid of. As long as these beloveds are the sacrificial lambs, the Judas, you don't have to go in and let the light shine on the self-hatred. That's what holds the plan all together. But the funniest thing happens with this belief of grievances and this belief of enemies and this belief of wrongdoing is that then you keep seeing it in your world all the time. Everywhere you look, there are reminders and reminiscences of this belief of having been changed, damaged, altered by something or someone. And the world looks like a place of battle and a place of pain, and pain keeps showing up. Pain keeps revisiting because it's the world you believe in. And you believe that you're separate bodies. This is what affirms it. Every beloved that you have believed has stolen from you. You have to see them as a body. You have to see them as a body. You can't see them in any other way. If they are not their identity, if they are not their body, their personality, their story, their expressions, you lose control. You lose control over the identity and the right to your enemies. And then you don't have to worry about this so much in here because the self-hatred has been projected out on everybody else. And maybe you don't call it hatred. Maybe you just call it justified. Or maybe you do call it hatred. Or sometimes you hate them and sometimes you don't. Or you don't think you do. But until you are seeing those beloveds as the wholeness of God and at one with you, you hate them. You want them to suffer. You want them to be the result of your pain and suffering, and you want them to suffer. You want them to be condemned for their wrongdoing. But the scary part of condemning is that then every thought that you have of suspicion and stealing from somebody else and making sure that you get yours and that you win and that you prove that you're right and that you hold others as someone that needs to be suspicious about, irritated with, whatever it is, then you are also condemned. Because if you're condemning someone else for their wrongdoings, then you believe in condemnation. And it's what is all the pain and suffering that you're holding, is that belief that there is condemnation, that the world is made of condemnation. And this is the insanity. And it is insane, because it is insane. Sanity is wholeness. Sanity is love. Sanity is peace and harmony, tranquility, joy, freedom. It's all sane. It's what is, so it is sane. And the rest is insanity. And we even give the idea of insanity, we give that to special people. We make them really insane. Like, we have a place for them. Because we have degrees and levels, and we have determined that there are some that are more insane than others. Because some function in the world that they made, and some can't function in the world that they made anymore. So I'm going to offer you something to look at those beloveds who are held as insane and to realize that they are closer to sanity than the ones who believe that they have a better facade and are able to hold it together in the world. Those beloveds who have lost it are not further from the truth. They have less facades. But underneath, it's all the same belief of separation and pain and suffering. The pain of holding others as what we believe them to be in their roles, in the belief that there are limitations within them, is our suffering. It joins in our suffering constantly. That's why healing is offered through relationships. And relationships are everything that you have in this world. You have a relationship with everything. But relationship in and of itself says separation. If you have a relationship with a basketball, you are not one with that basketball. You have made two. You have believed that the basketball is different material, different consciousness, different everything, different purpose, different, it's made different. So when the teacher of Hafiz says, give up all your knowing until you recognize the holiness of everything as one, that is what is really being called for, is to truly want to see the oneness with everything. In the prayer, as my heart opens like a flower, I remember the I am as the living God. I create, and I am created within the oneness of all. It doesn't say in the belief of separation and the things that you like and dislike as the all. It says the oneness of all, the equality of all, the truth of all. Nothing separate. Nothing deemed as being less or more. Nothing being separated out as likes and dislikes and approval and disapprovals. Nothing. This is why in this path of light and love there is such an emphasis on questioning all the likes and dislikes, because it's kind of like the likes and the dislikes hold kind of the stopper in place. You know, they kind of hold the drain closed. And as long as you have your likes and dislikes, you're not going to go any deeper. You're not going to go into the recognition that all is oneness. You're not going to see it as approval and disapproval. You're going to see it as righteous conclusions based on your facts, based on your determination and your past. You have made a world of likes and dislikes, and you've separated everything out and parsed everything so that you believe you have control over it. But it is actually, it's your imprisonment completely. Because the likes and dislikes go to everything in this world. There's a funny thing that occurs in the world, and everybody probably has done this because there's nothing that everybody hasn't shared. Writing a list of pros and cons when you're trying to make a decision. Should I move to Chicago? Let me write the pros and cons. I don't like the weather, but they have good pizza. I don't like their accent, but they have good clothing lines. Pros and cons, it's your world. And you believe that making decisions based on your pros and cons has helpfulness to it, because you will like where you're going. And you will feel safer because you're going to like it. But you're not open to the oneness. You're not open to the divinity of everything. The beauty, the perfection, that everything is the light of God. And you've done this all your life, to make lists of likes and dislikes. You don't necessarily always put them down on paper, but you're making pros and con lists and likes and dislikes lists of how something is going to be held as safe, believing that that's where your safety comes from, when in actuality it's where your pain and suffering comes from. And it's a beautiful, exquisite awareness when that light dawns, that, oh, This is my misery. It's coming from my mind. It's coming from what I think I know and the world that I have made. It isn't coming from an outside agreement that seems to be happening to me, even though I've convinced myself that it was happening to me. I am only affected by what I believe. And I am upset. If I am upset, it's because I see something that is actually not there. Yikes. It's not there. I am upset because I'm making something up out of my beliefs of pain and suffering and separation. And yet, it isn't God's will for you to be in pain or suffering, because it isn't of love. It isn't the truth of you. So how can you choose a new way? It's the staying in prayer if you are in prayer, the prayer says, focus completely on prayer. Focus on the communion. Show me where, show me how, I don't know. And let that voice of love lead you. I will follow where you lead me, I will go. My Divine Mother, I say yes, I say yes, I say yes to a new life, a new world, a new awareness of the truth of love. That nothing can harm me, and that nothing is being done to me, ever. That I have the exquisite choice of choosing love, of choosing harmony, of choosing peace in every moment. But it is not going to come from my knowing. It is going to come through prayer, through surrender, through not knowing, through allowing, through stepping back and letting love lead. In the knowing, there cannot be an awareness of all the divine expression of love that is always here, all the divine beings, all the divine truth of love, all the divine alchemy, all the divine power. None of that is available in knowing. You can't know except from the past. That's the only place you have to glean from, because you've forgotten. You've forgotten the truth of oneness. Doesn't mean because you've forgotten it that it's gone anywhere. It's all that exists. But you're living in a trance, you're living in a world that you made out of the belief that you deserve to be punished, and that separation is valid. And it has no validity. But to accept that, that's the leap of faith. I am affected only by what I believe, because there is no problem, there is no difficulty, there is no limitation, there is no separation in the truth of God. And you are that truth. You just aren't aware of it. doesn't make it less true. The acceptance, the yes. Willing, willing, willing. So in this moment of love, if there is a question, so the question is, are you willing to forgive all those that have walked this journey with you? Are you willing to forgive the false identities, the mistaken identities, the erroneous identities that have been given to all of them? And are you willing to accept that nothing has been stolen from you? That nothing has changed. Nothing's been taken from you. Not one moment of truth has been taken from you. Not one moment of your true life has been taken from you. It is being held in its entirety, waiting for you to remember and reclaim it, if you're willing. But it's finding that willingness within. The willingness to absolve every beloved that you made into a separate identity. Every beloved that you believe stole from you in any way, mistreated you, changed you. To forgive the world, its false identity, and to invite all beloveds to be released, and the willingness to forgive the identity of self-hatred that's been held, believing that it was justified. The question becomes, what do you truly want? Truly. There is the doorway. It's through the forgiveness, it's through the willingness to let the past go and all that you thought you knew about it. So in this moment, embrace forgiveness. Truly embrace forgiveness. That you willingly forgive, absolve, wash away the mistaken identities of this world. must love. As we close, finding the willingness of the heart to hold peace and tranquility and forgiveness in the heart, and to pray for the strength to remember forgiveness in every moment, to forgive every thought, to forgive every belief of differences, and the willingness to open the heart, undefended and available for love. The willingness in this moment to offer your heart in communion, not wanting to project any more a false identity in any way, but to let the costume be stripped away and see only the divine love.